We've been talking about how there's now been an arrest in the case of those Idaho murders. Again, 4 students murdered on November 13th. We do have the mugshot of the individual who's now been arrested in connection to that, and want to put it up here on your screen. So this, again, is just a developing story we're keeping track of right here for you on Live Now from Fox. A suspect in the killing of those students was arrested in eastern Pennsylvania, and law enforcement has been confirming that with our Fox News digital teams. Now, arrest paperwork filed in Monroe County Court said Bryan Kohberger, 28 years old, was being held for extradition to Idaho, where he faces a first-degree murder charge. A law enforcement official did confirm the arrest, also with the Associated Press, on condition of anonymity, because obviously they have a lot of work ahead of them still to do, and they said they could not publicly discuss details of the investigation ahead of a formal announcement, which is expected later here on Friday. Now, those 4 students, again, were stabbed to death in a rental home near campus sometime in the early morning hours of November 13th. And the slayings initially had mystified those in charge of the investigation. They did say that they were not able to at first name a suspect or even locate a murder weapon for multiple weeks. But as this case broke out, law enforcement had asked the public's help, which did mean that they then had thousands upon thousands of tips come into the police department. They combed through those tips to search each and every single option. FBI call center had to also help be directed to help with these tips because there were so many of them coming in. So they had worked through them. Autopsies also had shown that all 4 students were likely asleep when the attack happened. Some did have some defensive wounds. Each of them were stabbed multiple times. There was no sign of sexual assault, according to police. And police did say that the home's going to be cleared of potential biohazards and other harmful substances as they collected evidence on early Friday morning. We saw that vehicle come to the home. Here's the video from just a little bit earlier here today. They had a cleaning crew come into that home, and they're going to be, again, cleaning through. They did say it's unclear how long this work is going to take. But in a news release, they did say the house will be returned to the property manager once they are completed here. So this, again, stabbing death taking place in Moscow, Idaho, in a farming community of about 25,000 people, including roughly 11,000 students. It is tucked in the rolling hills of the northern Idaho region. And again, right now, we have been learning a bit more about this incident, about the suspect who's now going to be charged. Right now, again, as we mentioned before, this individual who you're seeing up on your screen, Bryan Kohberger, 28 years old, is being held where he's going to be extradited to Idaho. Right now, he's facing a first-degree murder charge. Of course, we'll be bringing that update to you once it does happen. That is set to take place at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Live Now from Fox, always bringing you the very latest news conferences. We've been talking about this timeline ever since November 13th. Police have been trying to work their way through those tips. They've been gathering different video evidence, even including evidence of what happened the night before leading up to their investigation taking place on the 13th. They know all of these different students who were inside of this home were out the night before. They were sleeping on multiple different levels, and it was 2 others who were inside of this home on the basement level who were left unharmed. Of course, that doesn't mean that they're going to have a lot to deal with here in the future with trying to work through the emotions of going through an incident like this. I'm sure family and friends of these students also going to be thankful that they do have an arrest that was made this morning. We know that, again, there was an arrest made out of Scranton, Pennsylvania, with law enforcement as well as the FBI. This person, again, is 28 years old. They do say that he was a student, but not at the same university where all of these other students had went to. So again, we send out our thoughts and prayers. We're going to be giving you more information once we hear that news conference by officials in Idaho at 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll bring it to you live, raw, and unfiltered right here on Live Now from Fox.